That's true. That's true. It's not required. So everyone should be level 4. Everyone should be all leveled up and had chosen their feat. Just confirming down the line that's been done. Aid. Yeah, you get 7 for the day. Oh, oh yeah, 5. Mm, correct. Yeah, but you. That's right. Mm, the threat. Okay, I'm going to go around the room here, the digital room, and just kind of ask everybody what they remember happened last session. And I'm going to begin that with Cora, just going down from top to bottom. Cora, what happened last session that you can recall? Okay. Augury. Okay. Well, I'm looking that up. You also remember that you got a medallion as well? Okay. Okay. Um, Elanil, what do you remember from last session that may not have been covered off by Cora? Okay. All right. So, Drez, what do you remember that may not have been covered off by Cora and Alarl? Alarl. Okay, and Mesker, anything that you remember that hasn't been brought up by Drez, Cora, and Elanil? Okay, gotcha. Would you want to share that with people on the website until I change it? I wish that I had a Dungeons and Dragons Twitter, but no, I don't, because that's X and Elon Musk, and I'm not going to do that. Catherine's Mike. Okay, so I think we just need to get like sound booths, like just like I'm gonna build a soundproof thing. I gotta spend money on it. I gotta spend money on it. Okay, Mesker, did you want to share that? There's always things that I want to spend money on. Uh, oh God, here we go. Okay, I'm gonna say too that Father Donovich, while you're saying this to him, rests his head sort of his chin down on his chest, a little bit of mixture of shame, and he doesn't really respond to you. He doesn't. That's right. That's right. Okay, Iris, did you want to cast Augury? That is costing 25 gold pieces to cast that spell. Specially marked sticks, bones, or similar tokens worth at least 25 gold pieces. Yeah, she's basically like rolling the bones to see what the fates can tell her about things. Okay. At least you get to save some money. So is there any questions before we proceed? Are you guys ready to go? Okay. So I will say that at the conclusion of the Burgomaster's funeral, that Ismark and Irina have taken a couple minutes to sort of, I guess, take in the moment. There's a somberness to the dawn here. Before Ismark approaches your group and explains that you should get on the road as soon as possible, that Irina has a couple things that she needs to deal with, and that he has a couple things to look into before the party leaves, but would like the party to kind of rendezvous back at the West Gates prior to them leaving. Um, and Irina mentions that she needs to look into something to the north, and she quickly actually takes off at saying that, and turns on a heel and makes her way north out of the town, almost towards this gentle sloping green sort of rise just kind of gently above to the north of the town. It looks like there's no trees up there. It looks pretty barren. Yeah, and she kind of disappears off to the north. Ismark wanders off with an attendant showing up rather quickly to speak in hushed tones with him, and he sort of makes his way wandering to the south, resolved to pick up the work of the day as quickly as possible, essentially. Father Donovich wanders back into the church and closes the doors behind him, and you are left. Yep, and he starts to tie up that noose, and he makes his way into the church, and you guys are left sort of by yourselves in the cemetery with a couple hours to spare. If you wanted to speed that up, you can. But if there's anything that you wanted to take care of, anything that you needed to grab, anything that needed to be looking into, this is your moment to do it. Sure. Yeah, you can. Just with the fact that it's going to be a few hours to get ready to go, like around noontime is when Irina is going to be ready to go. I'd say by the time that you guys leave, you'll be attuned to that pendant. Hmm. Yeah, just to give you some context, this rise is like right in sort of the outer town limits. Like it's not in the Svalich woods. It's not it doesn't appear to be in a dangerous place, and you can see this you can see this gentle rise to the north. If you're concerned about that, if you're con- So what would you guys like to do? Sure. Yeah, Marigold's did you saddle and get her tackle in order and she's ready to go? Okay. So is she just like a pack animal? I'll say that the horse is bonded to you, and to a certain extent the rest of you as well. And if you wanted to use her to carry things, I think she would be willing to do that. Do you want to do any shopping before we go, Mesker? Is there anything you need at the shop? Yeah, the others can probably explain how bad it is. The creepy book. Can you remind me? Yeah, so it's blank. The pages are blank. What is she? What is she gonna? What is she gonna write in it? All right. Okay. All right. Um, I might check in with you on that and see what it is you're writing in there. Hmm. Okay, that's good. So, if you guys are ready to proceed, if there's nothing else that you want to do, I can say that you make your way to the gates. Okay. So, Ismark, it's been, let's say, a few hours because, he did say that they weren't going to be ready to go until closer to noon. So, it has been a few hours. Maybe you've taken the time to adjust your equipment or make sure that everything is in order, that you're ready for a journey overland. You're departing the relative safety of the village. And I say relative, quite heavily there. And he's standing at the west gates, surrounded by sort of like almost like a council of, not a war, but you know what I mean? Like there's a couple of people around him that are providing him information, and he's nodding his head and he's soliciting advice and exchanging sort of information with the group. And as you approach, his eyes perk up and he turns to the group of you and he says, "My friends," and he reaches into his tunic and he pulls out a small scrap of paper, and it looks like um, the forward of a book that has been ripped out of a book. That's right. No, it looks like it looks like exactly. It looks like the forward of a book that has been a page has been torn out of this book, and It says Von Richten's Guide to Vampires on the front, but on the back there seems to be some handwritten words, and I will paste that here. Um, uh, One moment here, I gotta find it. Yeah, I know it's great, eh? So that's what is written on the back of that forward. It's in hashtag Curse of Strahd, and it seems to be written in like a quick uh, cursive. It's barely legible. It was written very quickly, but you can make out what it says. And Ismark will explain to you that he found this in the mansion after the funeral when he went back home. Um, Kind of perked into the like he was reminded of this page that you guys found in the guest room. So he went up into the guest rooms and took a quick look around, and he found this page that he believes may actually have been left by that's the strange guest that had stayed there a few weeks ago that had left with Doro to Castle Ravenloft. Um, and it may be a cache or it may be a supply trove that had been left there that could have useful items or useful equipment in it that you might want to take a look out for uh, as you leave the town and travel west. Um, he also mentions too that there's a family that has not yet reported in that is located in the vicinity of that cache. There's a farmstead that's nearby, and that family has not checked in yet, and so they wanted to send a party of scouts to go check it out, but he's redirected that to go look for Gertruda, and he was wondering if you guys wanted to take a look on his behalf on your way out. He obviously has a he also has he also has an impression, I think, of his own sister's competence. Like you get the impression that he's not entirely concerned, like overly concerned about Irina's battle readiness. She appears to be able to take care of herself. It's just the concern about greater threats on the road, and there's greater safety in numbers. Is Irina not with you? She should be here by now. And he looks up into the sky and he kind of gauges the passage of time from the funeral. She must be still up at the knoll. Perhaps you should check in on her and collect her so that you guys can get on the road. You shouldn't be wasting too much of daylight to get to the Share Pool tonight. Yes, yes, it's the hill to the north. It's called the Logdana's Knoll. It is people say it is a holy place. It is a place of remembrance. There's an old oak tree up there that Irina has often sat beneath and contemplated matters. You might find her there. As you pass through, as you pass through the sea of tall grasses north of the village, a gentle knoll rises before you, bordered on the far side by the clutches of the dark Svalich wood. Plants with white feathery flowers and a sweet earthy scent seem to dance amidst the grasses atop the hill, their leaves rustling in a whispering wind. A lonely tree stands atop the hill, its gnarled branches reaching skyward like outstretched arms. Beneath its shade kneels a female figure, her gaze fixated upon the ground. Okay, she doesn't notice you. She's wearing, appears to be wearing different clothing now. She's donned her chest plate, and there is a rapier belted to her hip, and what looks to be a hand crossbow slung from a belt loop on her belt. And as you sort of approach, you can see her kneeling beneath this tree, and she has a trowel in her hand, a little kind of digging shovel, and she's digging a hole in the earth between the trees' roots. She seems to be fixated on this task, and doesn't really notice you guys approach. Okay, so she looks up as you kind of go right in. Means I think you're not making any attempt to be stealthy. So she looks up and is startled a little bit by your approach, but smiles immediately. There's a warmth that sort of enters her expression, and she kind of says, very quietly, "I'm sorry that you have been driven to come search for me." Um, and she continues to be digging into this hole until you hear a wooden clunk as the blade of the trowel hits what appears to be a small wooden and iron bound little box. um, she pulls that box out, and then again kind of almost explains in a narrative way as she's brushing the dirt from the box. This is a small keepsake box from my mother, Korina Targolova. She's buried here, not far. She died 14 years ago, and there's a couple things that I placed in the coffer at her death that I can't bear to leave behind. I'd like to take them with me to Valaki. I am not sure when I will be able to return home. And she slowly opens the coffer, and inside you can see, I think Cora definitely sees it. The others might, I don't know if they've approached or not, but Cora definitely sees it, and the contents appears to be a silver bracelet set with gemstones, a pressed aster flower, a wooden charm in the shape of the yarrow flower on a leather cord, and a handkerchief with floral patterns. Sure, there you go. She's taken them out of the box, and she's taken the pressed aster flower. She opens up a small travel journal, and she takes that flower and kind of places it between the pages and closes the book, tucks that back into her tunic, and then she grabs the wooden charm that's in the shape of the yarrow flower, and she puts that around her neck and tucks the charm beneath her clothing, and then the handkerchief she kind of deposits into a pocket on her tunic, and the bracelet she kind of looks at for a bit longer, and she's running her thumb across the gemstones. And can I get you all to make a perception check for me, please? So, Cora and Drez, definitely not Mesker. Mesker temporarily is blind. Cora and Drez see that there appears to be writing on the underside of this silver bracelet. And you also know that it appears to be very valuable. Um, Drez, you actually, based on your rogue background, you estimate that it's worth at least 100 gold pieces. It's got very intricate patterns of the moons and the stars. There's a moonstone gem embedded at the center of five lapis lazuli. gemstones, and it's a very exquisite piece of jewelry that appears to be made by a master jewelsmith. But there's that writing on the underside that you can't quite make out. The writing? Yeah, like it doesn't appear to be magical, but I mean, you would have to obviously have the ability to detect magic, but it's not striking you as something that you've seen in your past that has magical qualities. She kind of nods very slowly. The bracelet itself doesn't hold sentimental value. The flower and the charm, I connect with my mother, but apparently this was found with me when I was found in the Svalich woods as a baby, when my brother and my father adopted me into the family. And it was found on my person when I was brought back to Barovia. It's maybe a tie, a key back to my old life before I became Irina. Oh, she says, kind of almost surprised. I had almost forgotten. And she turns it over, and there's tiny, elegant script. And the following message is engraved very carefully and very finely in common. Tatiana, may you find your path, and may you find light even in the darkest places, mother and father. And I'll post that there as well so you can see that. I don't know who Tatiana is. I don't know if this even belonged to me or what, but I am hesitant to leave it behind. It seems important. And she tucks it into her tunic, kind of in her bodice area, like her chest area. There's a little pocket, almost like she opens up her tunic and stuffs it inside there. She just kind of nods quietly. I am sorry to bring you all into this. I don't know why the devil has targeted me, has been harassing me. I don't know why he hasn't killed me or turned me yet. I don't know if this is some kind of sick game he's playing, or if he just likes to see people suffer. They say women with red hair bring bad luck. I am sorry. I never wanted to bring any of this to you. She kind of stands and dusts herself off. There's a bit of wetness in her eyes, as if she's sort of become a bit emotional on all of this, but gestures with a stoic expression that she's ready to go. She's ready to head out. It's just it's just this is when you were upstairs with Ben. It just yeah. So they decided to like fast travel through time. They didn't have any errands that they wanted to do, and so it's just before noon now. It's just before midday. Okay. So you set off from the silent village of Barovia, the fog creeping around your feet as you pass onto the old Svalich road. A sea of tall, pale green grasses stretches out before you on either side of the road, all the way up to the edge of what you recognize to be the Ivlis River. The sky above is a dull gray, the clouds heavy with the promise of rain. It's not long before you can see the old arched stone bridge in the distance that spans the clear blue river ahead. Crossing it, you find yourselves on a muddy road that winds its way through the trees. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves, and the trees press in close, casting dark shadows that carve dark gouges across the road. Um, you've crossed the bridge, unless you want to indicate to me. So from the underbrush to either side of you, from either side of the road, you hear a kind of a muffled and diffused voice through the fog. Who goes there? Name yourselves. Yep, and you can hear it from the woods on either side of you. Like you're thinking you want to go left, I assume, to go down to that hidden cache. Well, yeah, before you can even really do that, you hear this voice call out. Who goes there? Name yourselves. You can hear what sounds like the creaking of bowstrings in response. Irina puts up her hands and she says, "It is Irina Koliana of Borovia." And then there's some uh, maybe some curse words muttered through the fog, and you can hear the easing of bowstrings as two figures emerge. There's a male and a female. They both seem to be dressed in leathers and furs. They look like outlanders, almost like rangers, scouts, if you will. They're wearing long knives and they have bows sort of on their back. One of them is carrying their bow and has an arrow nocked. Lady Kuliana, the woman says, kind of bowing her head. What brings you out to the River Ivlis? Yeah, give me a second here. Yeah, I know. I'm like, come on, Irina, let's go. God, again with people not talking. I'm gonna have to have a talk with Irina. Um, she says, Irina kind of looks to the scout and kind of nods and gestures to the rest of you here in the group. We are headed to the Serre Pool for tonight. But we've been asked to also check out a cache and maybe a homestead. And the scout sort of nods her head, a little bit surprised to see Irina venturing forth from the village. Um, you're off to the Serpool. Where from then? Where from then? And then Irina replies, explaining that they're off to Valaki, and that's their ultimate destination. And the scout nods her head, sort of soberly, agreeing that that's probably the best place for her to go. Um, the Lanston family have not returned from their farmstead after the attack. Uh, the Lanston family. Are you saying that in character? Um, and Irina recognizes the name Lanston. Two parents, three young children who went missing during the attack. They haven't been seen since, and Ismark has expressed some concern. Is this the family that you're to check out? They are located south of us, probably 300-400 paces through the woods. Irina nods and says, "Yep, that's where we're headed." So the scouts nod their heads, kind of looking at the rest of the party appraisingly, wondering, if they're up to heading into the Svalich woods. But they nod eventually, kind of trusting in Irina's competence, before they sling their bows and make to leave back to the village. We must report back to Ismark on what we've found west of us, but please be careful. And then they look to the rest of the group. Do take care of her. They are they are scouts from the village under Ismark's control. We have I hesitate to use the term regiment, but we do have a scouting group that we use, that are trained in some capability, light scouts, not necessarily for combat, but for scouting the road and um, reporting back to the burgomaster. And they stop and look at you and give you a long look, not necessarily annoyed, but almost hurt. These are people that have suffered loss in the last few weeks, and they hold that look with you for a moment before they head back. And if you were to look at Irina at this point, she would have almost like a surprised expression on her face. did say I hesitate to use the word regiment. Just shakes her head, wondering who she's saddled up with here. Bunch of yahoos. Okay, give me a moment here. Count your feet. Feet balls. Owlbear Rodeo link down below. No one was specific. It's assumed that you guys are pacing to Cora. Yeah. The bird might actually be able to carry you. That's the funny part. Your rat. That's right. I always forget your rat. Sorry about that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. She. They are. Careful. Jonah. Jonah. Jonahs are bad luck on ships. Because red hair, bad luck. I did. Okay, you find yourself off the path, heading south, deeper into the Svalich woods. That's right. Now, what's your guys' party order? How are you walking? She could. Yep. She has her hands full of knitting. I got you. I got you now. Like I understand. Yeah. No, I'm not gonna help you move your bird. Okay. And you can move the map around. Uh, Vinraf does not have the same sight as you guys do. Like it's limited. Okay. Yep. Can uh, can Vinrath do a perception check for me, please? It's whatever their primal companions of the sky. I can't remember what your perception is for. Yep, I got it here. Beast of the Sky has a wisdom of +2, plus you get to add your proficiency bonus. So that would be, you guys are sitting at, what's your proficiency bonus right now, 2? Yeah. So you get to add your proficiency bonus to any of the skills that they make. So you get to roll a d20 +4, I believe. I'm going to say no. And I will give the rat uh, visibility here. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna say that that Vinraf detects movement of some kind and and sound like uh, rustling branches and undergrowth and almost like a rhythmic. It sounds like a rhythmic thump, 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 thump. That's what it sounds like. That's what's being communicated to you through your bond. So just hold up right there real quick. Got to read something to you. So you've walked for 300 paces, stepping softly through the mulch and the mist until you arrive at what appears to be a clearing, and that clearing is kind of like this right here. Um, the woods part to make room for a tall ancient oak tree, which is this one right here, whose knotted black trunk rises far above its peers. You soon realize, however, that you are not alone. Four figures shamble or stand aimlessly within the clearing, and I will make them visible to you here. Stand by. I'm just going to borrow your token for a second because this is a clearing. You'll have seen this. Their clothes muddied and torn, and their flesh just beginning to turn pallid and gray. A sixth figure, bearing the remnants of tattered leather armor, which is this one here, stands just beside the tree, its white eyes staring dully into the canopy overhead. There's a mark, there's an abrasion on its head, and you conclude what that thumping sound was. It has been banging its head against the trunk over and over again, and as you stand there and watch, you can actually see this. It seems to be very unintelligently just thunk, 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 banging its head against the tree. This figure's flesh, though rotting, is a smooth, sickly white, its skin run through with raised crimson veins. A faint cloud of reddish mist spills from its mouth and down onto the forest floor around it before dissipating into the air. And I'll say that this one here appears to be an adult male. This these are they appear to be zombies. You recognize them as undead zombies. This guy here is an adult male with a beard. This one here appears to be an adult female, and this one appears to be a girl about the age of 8 or 9, wearing again tattered clothing and it's showing signs of advanced putrefaction. They have not noticed you as of yet. As you guys are talking, Irina slips into the overgrowth over here and adopts like a low crouch, like she's trying to get into stealth. Okay. Hmm. Yep. No, it's channel divinity. That would be you holding up your holy symbol and channeling your divinity. Just just take your holy symbol and here you go, little buddy, and put it over his neck, and he'll do it. But first, he has to train as a cleric and go away and work as an acolyte first and get some experience under his belt. I just want to clarify, just real quick, what is Marigold's status? Is she just on like, do you have her on a lead, or have you tied her to a tree? Like, what is she doing? Okay, so she's just kind of she's whinnying restlessly here. She's quiet, but she's appeared to be unsettled by what's sort of close by. They have not seen you yet. Thunk, thunk, thunk. And who are you targeting? This guy right here? Okay. It does. Someone has watched Viva la League. Exactly. Yeah, you all need to roll for initiative now. Uh, okay, so go ahead and give me an attack roll. So what I can do is I can take I can what I can do is I can have an attack from each of you if you want, and I can apply one round of full damage if you're going to do like a surprise attack here. And then I'll have you all roll initiative, which you guys are all rolling anyways, and we'll use those results to begin combat essentially. But you each get a free round, with the stipulation that if you advance into melee, you're probably going to trigger combat at that moment. There's some very good initiative rolls here. That's so cool. That is so cool. Wow, you guys are. Those are some great rolls. Mesker, you are you already rolled your initiative up top, didn't you? Oh no, it was a 13 that you rolled up there 11 minutes ago. 4. Okay, gotcha. 4. Okay. So who's first up? Ignore those initiative rolls for now. We'll use that when combat begins. But who can I take? You know what? I'll just go down the list here. Mesker, what do you want to do here? Okay. Cora, what would you like to do? It will. Well, you know what I'll say is you can certainly try. Whatever happens, happens. Okay. And Drez, who are you attacking? That dude. Okay. Go ahead and roll for me. 12 is a hit. I'm gonna quickly name these guys here. Okay. Roll for damage. And you do get to do your sneak attack. Okay. Yeah, that's a great hit. So that bolt strikes it almost kind of in the collarbone, clavicle area, and it embeds deep into the body. And you can see that it's hit either like a nerve or like a key area near the spine, and it immediately hunches over in an awkward position. Again, this is all happening simultaneously, so I'm not going to have it recognize yet where this came from. Moving down the list, we are looking at Elanil. And um, sorry, I forgot about Irina. 12, 13. That's a hit. And where are you hitting? The big guy again, you said? Okay. And roll for damage for me. 6. Okay. Big guy takes 6 damage. Doesn't seem to affect it a whole lot. Like it hits into the back of its back. It's turned away from you, but it doesn't really register anything whatsoever. Irina is. I mean, it did, but it looked like this is a pretty sturdy thing. It looks pretty beefy. It's armored, has leather armor on it, and it looks physically healthier and stronger. These guys have the appearance of being like peasant folk, so they're pretty frail. This one here looks well fed and like more finely dressed, wearing combat leathers. Irina is going to take a shot with her crossbow, and she's going to aim for the big guy. Actions, crossbow, and that's a miss. Oh, jeez. Okay, so we are on to combat at this point. I need to change the music. And I'm going to ask Drez. It is 9:19. Do you need your AFK? Okay, very good. Mesker. Oh, that's nice. Very good. I like that. Mesker, you're up with initiative of 27. Okay, let's see an attack roll. That's a hit. Roll me some damage. How do you want to? How do you want to kill it? Yeah, it falls back against the trunk of the tree here with that powerful stroke, and then just collapses like a bag of wet flesh, and it's out of commission. Okay. All right. Next up is Cora. What's the range on Sacred Flame? Okay. That one, just remind me, is that a deck save? Okay. All right. It rolled a 15. Does it avoid all damage? I believe it does. Yep. Okay. Is that your turn? Drez, you're up. Okay. Yeah, so that's over. So he's now aware of you guys, and he's gonna have to be threatened, or you're gonna have advantage. You're gonna need advantage in another way in order to get that sneak attack. Sure, I like that. That's a hit. It rolls. Okay. That crossbow bolt kind of thunks into the layers of leather, boiled leather armor that he has wearing on him. Doesn't appear to do a lot of damage, but he flinches and kind of turns to face you from his position over beneath that ancient oak tree. Is that your turn? Okay. It is Zombie D. I see that. Zombie D, this is going to be the little girl. It's her turn. And she screeches this high pitched, gravelly screech and runs almost at a full sprint kind of towards Drez and is throwing her whole kind of little body at you with an attack. Slam attack. Okay. That's a hit. 13. Damn. All right. And I still get to make damage, right? Like that's doesn't disrupt that. Okay. So that was a okay. What's your AC, Drez? That was a 19 to hit on the slam. Okay, so she rolls for damage. 2 damage. She's just a little girl. But now her left arm is hanging off awkwardly off the side of her body. Okay. It is Irina's turn, and she's going to make another crossbow attack at the big guy. And that's a hit. 5 damage. Again, this thing is starting to look like a pin cushion. Still holding up strong. So it's now Zombie C, and just echoing her daughter, she runs at a screech right towards Mesker and swings. That's a 20, not a nat 20. Uh, 2 damage. All right. So now it's this guy's turn, and he turns, and as he turns, um, that red fog that you saw coming out of his mouth starts to pour out in a larger gout, falling down off the front of his chest, kind of weaving in between these crossbow bolts and arrows that have peppered him a bit. And he starts to approach, and he doesn't run. There's a measured walk to how he kind of approaches you. 5 to 20. He stops here. Yep, go for it. The uh, the adrenaline of running is helping, so that's good. Yeah, Catherine was kind enough. That was so cool. I love Sentinel. It's probably one of my favorite feats. Do you guys want to take a couple minutes here? Use the washroom, get something to drink? It's a good time to do it. I do love the organ music. It is not actually. It is Nox Arcana, which is actually a group. They're musicians, and they do gothic sort of music. Lots of organs and whatnot. Have you checked out Bardify? Welcome back. Have you checked out Bardify? Check out Bardify. There's a lot of stuff there that I'm now starting to incorporate into my campaign. Are we all back? Did we all take breaks, or did Unk step away? Okay. So the big guy here, I need to just figure out this ability here again. 1 second. No, I'm gonna say he doesn't. He just kind of is approaching you there, Mesker and Drez. He's not gonna take any actions at this point. It is Elanil's turn. If you were a paladin that swore an oath of knowledge, you would be able to ask that question. Striding. I can on the big guy. You're doing that. Uh, Defaults. And is that a bonus action as well? I believe. Where is it? Stun, prone. Okay, he has been marked. That's a miss. Oh, oh, oh boy. Roll it again. And that's a much better roll right there. Oh God. 1d6 for your hunter's mark, I believe. It's just a custom roll. Yeah. Okay. I am not impressed. I think you need to get this shit sorted out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's pretty bad. All right. And that's your turn? Yes. Okay. It is Mesker's turn. That's a hit, obviously. Is that a battle master thing? So 2 plus 3 plus 3, so 6 is 8. 8 damage? Okay. Sorry, and that's the little guy? C. Okay. 8 damage. Yep. That's a good hit. It dislocates its shoulder right at the joint. It kind of seethes and spits at you. Okay. Next up is Andres. Is that rules as written? Higher dex modifier. If there's a tie, the higher dex goes first. Because it does make sense. It rewards dex characters for having high dex. Sounds good. Cora, you're up. Okay. Where would you like that to appear? Sorry. Poof. That is a hit. Okay. Not 47, Dave. Whoops. 7. There we go. Okay. Yeah, it's a bit aggressive. Yeah, 7 points. I like it. Okay. That's a hit. All right. Zombie C, the mum, is starting to look pretty pretty bloodied here. Multiple joints out of place. She's barely able to stay standing, but she's still seething and spittling. Drez, you're up. Uh, yeah, it is a it's the daughter, so it's a little girl. She's 8 years old. Jesus. That's true. That's a hit. That's a hit. She is threatened. How do you want to kill it? Final column completely disconnected. It just slumps to the ground. Is your moon touch rapier illuminated right now, or is it dim? Okay. All right. So it is out of combat. Show me. It's a hit. How do you want to how do you want to kill that one? Love it. It also slumps to the ground. It's pretty bad shape when you hit it, so it doesn't take much damage for it to basically just collapse under its own weight, out of combat. All right. Is is that your turn? Cool. So Irene is up. She's gonna load another crossbow bolt and aim for the big guy, and that's a hit. 5 damage. Okay. Another crossbow bolt just sort of appears in its chest from Irena's crossbow. The thing barely responds to it. So it is its turn. It's going to walk up to Mesker, and it's going to use its multi attack on Mesker. 14. Okay. 20. 8 bludgeoning damage plus 3 necrotic damage. Elanil, you're up. That is a miss. It's also a miss. So you've got some movement on Vinrap. Is he going to basically do that and then go back to the tree, or is he going to get set up someplace else? Okay, that's right. Okay, Mesker, you're up. They're kind of there's been about six, 7 hits successful. Most of them are center of mass, but there's the odd one that's like into his shoulder or into his thigh. But yeah, it's kind of all over the place. Okay, that's a miss. Okay, that is a miss. Yep. Was that your turn? Cora. So I'm just gonna step in real quick. Marigold, it is her turn. This thing's getting closer. Marigold is gonna take off to the north at a canter, not at a gallop. Okay, Cora, that is a hit. Now, is that radiant damage? I thought it was too. Spiritual weapon, radiant damage. Yeah, I don't know if it is. I think that you choose the thing based off of the type of what damage that you want to do. So you're doing bludgeoning damage right now. If you summoned a sword, you would get slashing damage. If you summoned a dagger, you get piercing damage, etc. Right. But you could like if you recast it again at some point, you could choose a different thing. I don't. Yeah, I don't think it's radiant. I don't think it's radiant. Pardon me. I know, but if we're gonna be correct, we should be correct when we can be correct. Okay. Because Cora has him selected. So that's 9. Okay. He looks pretty rough, but not. He doesn't look like he's bloodied. He doesn't look like he's like on death's door at all. But he looks like he's taken some good hits. No. Okay. All right. So that's going to be Mesker, Drez, and Elanil. Okay. I think I have a. Do I have a bless uh, thing? I do. Get it off! Get it off! Get it off! Oh, that actually automatically attaches. That's cool. Okay. All right. Is that your turn? Okay. It is Drez's turn. You're up. Okay. That is a hit. Okay. Nice. Okay. That's a hit. 9 more. Wow, that's a lot of damage there, Mr. Rogue. Yeah, it reels from those blows, Drez. It's reeling from those blows. Like you're connecting and you're causing him to sort of stagger a bit from those heavy hits. Is that your turn? Okay. Irene is gonna pull back to where Elanil is, and she's gonna hit him with another crossbow. That's a hit for 3 damage. Yep. No, go for it. Yeah, it's pretty good. This is you should recognize this one. This is darkest. Is this darkest dungeon? I think it is. Darkest Dungeon OST Crimson Court Bloodletting 2017 HQ official. Ah, there you go. Yes. I wouldn't say that they really count as cover unless you're standing directly behind them. So like, the trunk is right there, so you'd have to stand like directly behind the trunk. They're cover from probably from above, which is why Vinrath didn't detect them right away. No, I think this will be a clear line of sight like this. Yeah. Welcome back. So it is the zombie's turn here. It is now going to look dead at Mesker, um, and its eyes pulse red, and it opens its mouth as if to scream. And seeing that, you're expecting like a gravelly kind of zombie scream, but instead, all that pours out of its mouth is this red miasma, this toxic sort of cloud that pours out of its mouth and then has almost density to it. So it starts to fall down and pool out kind of around its feet. This is virulent miasma. The plague spreader releases toxic gas in a 30-foot radius sphere centered on itself. Each creature in that area must make a DC 12 Constitution saving throw, taking 2d6 poison damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. Um, I will go ahead and give you a prop here so you can see. 30 foot. So you get to roll with advantage. You can actually right click on your saving throw and make it like with advantage. So I believe that is actually 30, if I'm not mistaken. 5, 10, So just to clarify, is that 30? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30? No, it's like this, isn't it? So down one. Radius. Oh, inside. Okay. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So it's out to here. So that is saves for Cora. I'm not seeing. Am I not seeing another? Yeah. So roll me a Constitution save, and that includes Gray. Sorry, say that again. No, that's an action. Yeah, that's an action. So so Drez, I'm gonna need you to take 2d6 poison damage. Yes, yes, you can. Yeah, but you all can. You all can. Cora already passes. Yeah, so take 1d6 poison damage. Yeah, 1d6. And then Mesker, you and then so roll me 1d6 poison. Yeah, a successful save is still takes half damage. And then Gray needs to also roll me a con save. Cora's rat. You take no, you take is that your damage that you rolled? Yeah, you take 6 damage. I I half is 1d6. The actual failed roll is 2d6. Yeah. So just roll just a Constitution from his stat block, or roll a d20 and -1. You, yeah, just do a custom roll then. Just apply his con modifier, which would be -1. Okay, so that's right. What's his hit points? Is there an average next to it? Because it usually just give you an average. Yeah, not dead, just disappears into the ether to be resummoned again. Okay, and that is his turn. It is now Elanil's turn. That's a hit. Man, you're just not. You do have to replace those dice, don't you? I might have to after this. Yeah, the hunter's mark. You mean? Yeah. Jesus. Okay. Okay, you still have a bonus action. You have to go into collections to change it. Like you have to go all the way out. Okay. Is that your turn? Raven. Yeah. Okay. The gas is sitting there. Yeah. Yes. Maybe. Possibly. Could be. It does. It does look. It does look dangerous going in there. Yeah. Mesker, you're up. That's a hit. 18 damage. Wow. And what's the save on that on the goading? I rolled an 18 for a total of 15. Um, does that mean there's no effect on me? Okay. Next turn is Cora. If that's your turn, Dave. Okay, Cora, you're up. Okay, that's a hit. That's a hit. Good hit. This thing's starting to look pretty bloodied. It's staggering a little bit, but its eyes are red, and there's still fog, sort of slowly, sort of pouring out of its open mouth. Okay, what does that do? Okay, what's the DC? Okay, go ahead and roll me damage. I rolled a 12. Jesus. So you do 2 damage to him. Your radiant word seems more potent. just, just marginally more potent. Is that your turn? All right. Next up is Drez. That's a hit. Okay. This thing is. It falls to the ground on its knees, looks up at you, and slowly pulls himself back up to his full height. But this. Okay, roll me it. That's a miss. Is that your turn? Okay, it's Irina's turn, and she rolls, and that's a miss. It is the plague spreader. That's its name. I need all of you. I need actually just Drez and Mesker to make con saves. And the spiritual weapon. How does that work, Cora? Does that have a stat block? It's just a spell that lasts for 1 minute. So you're good on that. So no, it's a DC of 12. So you will take 2d6 poison damage. Mesker though, that's 2d6. Mesker though is that's an automatic success. So that's just 1d6 for Mesker. Okay. It's going to attack with its multi-attack. So that plague is that cloud. That was just ambient damage that you took because it now exists, but it still has an action available to it, and it's going to do a multi-attack on Drez because that was the last person that kind of did the damage. Let's see it. That's a hit, 10 damage. So okay, so Jesus, he took so much damage. Drez, what's your AC? And it has disadvantage. Okay, so it's okay. So I failed that, so that's a miss on my count. And you did how much? 17 damage? How do you want to kill the fucking thing? That's excellent. Yeah. Yeah, so the three zombies, the peasant zombies, if you're going to search those bodies, they don't really have anything of worth. These are peasant folk that have been turned, and they're pretty advanced states of decay. Not a pleasant search, and there's nothing that you can find in their dirty clothes. That you do find, however, on the girl a small doll that seems to be stained and soiled. Um, Sorry, Dave. And on the big guy, he's wearing what looks to be good leather armor, but it's in a state of disrepair. And you find 4 gold pieces and 7 silver pieces. Okay, as a ritual, can you ritual cast that? Gotcha. Okay. Mm-hmm. Getting ready. Getting ready. I'm pulling it up. No. Uh, I can say that you wouldn't be able to ride any of your familiars because you're going to be required. I know, but it needs to be a creature that is one size larger than you, so it has to be a medium-sized creature. And none of your familiars are going to be medium-sized. Is it the seahorse? You want to pull the seahorse out? Because I can pull the seahorse out. No? Okay. All right. Oh, I know what you want, the toad. Yeah, you want the toad, right? That's what you want? No? Okay. All right. Okay. Oh! Oh! The fish. You want the fish? No? Okay. All right. Which one do you want? It does. Okay. Oof. Four gold pieces, seven silver. That's right. All right. Irina is just kind of quietly to herself, checking her equipment, reloading another bolt, getting it ready, looking around. She's scanning the forest, scanning the trees around her, trying to stay vigilant. Yeah, I gotta get that off of her. Okay, so this is the ancient oak right here. Vinrath is actually on it, and there's a big gnarled a root system right here. Yeah, she hands it over to you. And there is a patch of earth that looks to be darker than the others. You find a small canvas, almost blanket, and inside you locate 20 silvered crossbow bolts, a light crossbow, two healer's kits, two vials of holy water, and one potion of healing. And I'll post that in the thing. 2 vials of holy water. Yep. They'll fit any crossbow. Add them to your sheet. And Dave, to answer your question, I think they were talking about the healer's kits for you. Yeah, and I think that leaves just the potion of healing. Okay. And do you guys want to deal with your health at all right now? Any short resting going on? Okay. And you're not gonna it wouldn't benefit you because you're already past your half. You have to add you have to add the bolts and then go into them and then add silver to them. Yeah, regular bolts like one bolt. I think they're called quarrels. One quarrel of bolts, and it would be silvered. When you guys are all healed up and ready to go and whatnot, just let me know. No worries. You guys did really good on that combat, by the way. You and Mesker were just tearing it up. Yeah, you made up for the fact that Elanil was having a bad day. You can go and change your rules if you want your dice right now if you wanted to. Oh, did you? Roll me a d20. I want. Can I see it? Or are you gonna wait till your next roll? Okay. All right. You don't want to roll a 20. That would be bad. Yeah. No kidding, right? Mm, 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 mm. do have to roll. You have to roll them before you confirm it, I think. So you roll it and then you'd hit take short rest. So you check the boxes that you want, the hit die that you want to roll, and then the little box will show up to roll it with a little heart next to it, and you hit that, and then you confirm that you've taken your short rest by clicking the take short rest button. Roll it manually if that doesn't work. Oh yeah. Okay, let me know what you guys want to do. Okay, I will close down Owlbear. We don't need it for now. Can actually kick you guys out. I guess it doesn't matter, uh, but you guys can close down your owlbears. I sourced it. I didn't make it. I found it though. Okay, so you're back at the road. You're you're recovered. You're rested. You've got your cash. What would you like to do? To the west lies the road heading towards the Serre Pools, and to the east lies the village of Barovia. Okay. Oh, well, you could go to the website and you could look at gallery and resources, and there you will find a picture of Barovia. Oh, the website, curseofstrahd.org. And you scroll down, you should see the Durst. It's recently updated it, so that all the letters are there. And then under Village of Barovia, you'll see a map that will show the village, the map of the what what you saw in the tavern is there. That as well. Scroll down. Scroll down. Under Village of Barovia, it's the second one. So you guys you're basically, if you're looking, you'll see that there's the River Ivlis and there's a stone bridge there. You have just crossed that one point by the river, and the further along would be towards that River Ivlis crossroads, if that's where you're wanting to go. Presumably, yes. Okay. Is that you guys advancing then? The woods flanking the path form an ancient growth forest, their gnarled and towering trees casting a perpetual shadow upon this winding trail. Thick underbrush congests the surroundings. These trees, each bearing the weight of centuries, stand as stoic witnesses to the passage of time, their bark weathered and etched with the stories of bygone eras. An ever-present fog clings to the ground, creating an ethereal atmosphere that obscures visibility. The silence is broken only by the rustling of leaves and the soft crunch of footsteps on the worn path. A constant companion, the blue, clear water of the river Ivlis seems never far, the running, crisp water sounding cold and pure in the cool air. Soon, however, the river bends once more out of sight, and the dark woods surround the road once again. And finally, the trees pull away, revealing a tall cliff at the base of a foggy mountain slope. The air is cold and damp here, and soft wisps of fog swirl around the base of that cliff. An old wooden gallows creaks in a chill wind that blows down from the high ground to the west. A frayed length of rope dances from its beam. The well-worn road splits here, and a signpost opposite the gallows points off in three directions: Barovia village to the east, Stairpole to the northwest, and Ravenloft, Valaki to the southwest. The northwest fork slants down and disappears into the trees, while the southwest fork clings to an upward slope. Across from the gallows, a low wall, crumbling in places, partially encloses a small plot of graves shrouded in fog. That's right. So there's you're branching into a crossroads here, and to the northwest that descends down into like congested trees, and that corresponds with the signpost saying Serre Pools. And then of course there's the road that you just came from. That's back to the village, and then there's a road to the southwest that looks like it very quickly turns and almost switchbacks up a very sharp-looking mountain slope. And that goes to, according to the signpost, Veliki or Castle Ravenloft. And then right at this signpost, opposite the road, like as you're walking down the road, you would kind of pass between the signpost to your left and the gallows on your right. And the gallows are as described. There's an empty noose, a frayed length of rope, sort of dancing in the chill wind from the central beam of the gallows. And you hear this kind of creaking sort of old wood creaking sound. And then there's graves nearby. It looks like a small plot of graves near the gallows. The like you can't see the sky, but you figured that it's probably past midday, maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's probably about an hour of like steady travel. I mean, it looks like gallows, and they look like they're functioning. The length of rope is frayed. You're not sure if that's just because of disrepair or if it's just been used, like overused. And there's graves again, sort of enclosed within a small low wall of crumbling stone. And you'd have to get closer to take a look at the graves or the gallows. Sure. As you get closer to it, yeah, the gallows stand atop. As you get closer, the platform is about 5 feet high, and there is some wood rot in some of the support beams there. There's wooden stairs leading up to it, and then as you're closer to the gallows, you are closer to the grave plots as well, and you see 11 gravestones um, that kind of stand in like a ramshackle group. There's no fresh graves. They don't look to be fresh, anyways. They're all blank. No, no names, no dates. There's nothing inscribed on the gravestones. You don't see like a sign of a fresh grave. Is that everybody going? They are people who have been executed here. I cannot say. It has been years since anybody has been hung. It is certainly not something that the village does. Usually, it is a form of justice meted out by him or his designates. But the gravestones do not have the honor of any inscription. Okay. The gentle rustle of leaves is interrupted by the soft, rhythmic creaking of wheels as a distant carriage approaches. Hold on a minute. From the path to the northwest, stand by here. That muted on me. There we go. From the path to the northwest, emerging like a specter from the dense fog, a striking black carriage. Just 1 second here, guys. I'm not sure why this is taking so long to go here. There we go. A striking black carriage glides into view, pulled by two majestic black horses. The carriage exudes an air of elegance and mystery. Delicate gold work adorns its frame, while muted painted designs in reds, grays, and blacks add a touch of sophistication to its aesthetic. The intricate details unfold like a carefully crafted piece of art against the haunting backdrop of the Svalich woods. This carriage is approaching you directly in the opposite direction, but it's approaching you. A well-dressed man, presumably a manservant, guides the carriage with practiced precision. At the sight of the driver, Irina audibly gasps. His attire speaks of refinement, and he handles the reins with an air of quiet subservience. As the carriage approaches, sorry, Cora? It's like a gasp of surprise, like she's audibly surprised. Potentially, yeah, that would be a potential inference for sure. There's a mix. There's a mixture of that in there. She looks terrified, for sure. Um, as the carriage approaches, an imperceptible movement, fast and sharp, stirs through the labyrinth of gnarled branches deep within the Svalich woods that border the crossroads around you. Drezek, after a few moments of study, you manage to pick out a discernible profile of at least one of these mysterious shapes that seems familiar to you. Mesker, although you can't see this strange threat in the woods, your battle-hardened senses seem to be alerting you to a foe that you may have fought before. The rhythmic clatter of hooves comes to a gradual halt as the black carriage eases to a stop before you. The quiet surroundings seem to hold their breath, waiting in anticipation as the manservant, with a flourish, brings the horses to a standstill. The atmosphere is pregnant with an otherworldly stillness, and the fog, once swirling around the carriage, now wraps it in a mysterious embrace. The air is thick with a palpable sense of suspense as the intricate designs on the carriage catch the ethereal light, casting faint shadows on the path. The driver releases the reins, steps down from the coach box, and moves to open the side door of the carriage, bowing deeply. A moment passes, and then a man steps out from the carriage. He is tall, gaunt, and dressed in finery befitting a man of an aristocratic, even royal stature. A black cloak is pulled neatly around his shoulders, tied at the neck by a blood-red brooch. A long sword rests scabbard at his hip, its polished hilt gleaming beneath the dim light. His scarlet tunic is worked with intricate designs, and his hair is pulled back into a sharp and immaculate widow's peak. His eyes are dark, and as he moves to adjust the ruby at his neck, you see that his fingernails form long, elegant claws. It's only then that you realize that his skin is pale, unnaturally so, and that his eyes glint with a deep, intelligent hunger. To your side, Cora, you notice that Irina has visibly rocked backward as if slapped. She averts her eyes from the man's gaze, her entire body tightening with anxiety and fear. "Don't look into his eyes," she chokes out. The man's gaze rests briefly on Irina, and he smiles, though no warmth reaches his eyes. "Lady Goliana," he says, "what a pleasant surprise." His voice is steady, low, and practiced, as if every word is intended and planned, every intonation carefully considered before it is uttered. There is a quiet and noble intelligence with every utterance. He then turns his gaze to you lot. "Good day," he says. "I am Count Strahd von Zorovich, and it is a pleasure to finally meet the newcomers to my domain. My friends have told me so much about you." His eyes linger over each one of you in turn, regarding you like a cut of meat weighed at market, an intriguing but inanimate trinket, or perhaps like a prey animal spotted by a predator in the bush. With a fluid, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. Okay. So Marigold does turn and make her way away from this confrontation. Soft hooves sort of click clacking back up the path. Um, this newcomer, this cloaked individual named Strahd, watches this exchange with a quiet curiosity. With a fluid, eerie grace, he approaches you four, I suppose five if you include Irina, his eyes continuing to study each of you, moving from one party member to another. His expression appears devoid of any reaction or emotion, save for what appears to be a practiced, modest hospitality that leaves you feeling more uneasy than perhaps it should. There is a vague, undefined feeling of great peril in the air. He steps slowly and gracefully along this line of party members, and he stops in front of Cora, turning to study her face, her armor, her holy symbol. When his eyes linger on that symbol, he pauses, smiling softly to himself. The expression has the appearance of maybe him remembering a fond memory or a humorous anecdote. "What a wonderful curiosity! Cora, is it?" The Count approaches Cora, his eyes studying her bearing. "It has been some time since I have gazed upon a halfling. And you are a small one for your race, aren't you?" There's this sort of smile on his lips that don't reach his eyes. He's pleased, maybe, with the reaction that he's having on you. "You appear to have the same principles as Father Donovich, yes? Let us hope your faith in the Morning Lord serves you better than it did for his son. Yes?" And what did it do for him, I wonder? Perhaps you can tell me, how is Doru? Control. It's an interesting concept, isn't it? Sometimes it can be misleading, can't it? It is always stimulating to speak with one of invested faith. Perhaps one day we can speak of philosophy and life and death as well. welcome to Barovia. And with that, he kneels in front of you, Cora. He's very close. It's very uncomfortable. And a cold hand um, sort of pulls out of his cloak and rests on your shoulder in almost a comforting manner. And he leans in and he offers you a kind of a warm, sort of welcoming smile, but there's no warmth in it at all. It seems quite dead. And he stands to his full height, looking at you for a brief moment, his eyes looking down at your holy symbol. And then he turns and he slowly walks away from you, turning to look at Elanil. He studies her in a dead, unmoving manner. You must be the outlander with the bird. What a curious creature. And is Vinraff around right now? Okay. May I see it? May I see this interesting um, creature that has come to my land? So you are not its master? It has a mind of its own? Interesting. And here I thought those of your kind worked in tandem with the creatures you commanded. And yes, we did talk about control, didn't we? And he kind of casts a soft grin over to where Cora is standing. From where do you hail, elf? All outlanders come from somewhere, don't they? I am just a curious man looking to know more about the people who have come to my domain. But if you don't want to speak of your past, perhaps we can speak another day. I am interested to learn about you, to learn about you all. He offers you a quiet, stillborn smile and walks over to Mesker, turning to study his face and his bearing, looking you up and down at your armor and your stature and your posture. Ah, I can spot an old campaigner when I see one. Your name is not known to me. Pray tell, what shall I call you? Ah, Sergeant. Does the sergeant have a name? Sergeant, Sergeant. How original. Hmm. A sergeant, though, commander of men. You are most welcome here, Sergeant, Sergeant. He walks over kind of to the side of you and looking over your shoulder at the path up to where Marigold had went. What a lovely animal. You don't see palominos too often around these parts. Do take good care of it. And his arms reach up and he snaps his fingers. And the manservant approaches with a small sack of what appears to be green apples and deposits it at your feet. He smiles, Strahd smiles to the manservant, and nods very slowly, very gently back towards the coach, where the manservant returns and stands sort of almost at ease. Perhaps one day we could practice the forms with one another. I, too, served some time as a soldier. I am always looking forward to an opportunity to learn from others. Does what bother me? Ah, interesting. Why do you ask this question? And as you're talking, he sort of looks at you thoughtfully. There's a spark of intelligence almost in him weighing your every word. And he folds his arms sort of behind his back and he dips his head a little bit and he says, "What you say is true. No longer am I a commander of legions as I used to be, but I do miss it, I do admit. Maybe one day I will rekindle that old life again, but unfortunately, that is not what my destiny has in store. Why are you no longer with your army? A bird. Ah, the same bird that our quiet friend here has no control over? Possibly. Interesting. Very interesting. And with that, he turns away from you, almost like dismissing you. You almost appear to be non-existent to him at this point, and he strides his way toward Drezek. His movement is very fluid, very graceful. It almost has the appearance of him floating above the ground. He doesn't speak at first, and he only studies the dark elf with a careful, appraising eye. "It is a pleasure to finally meet you, Drezek." He steps closer, and his eyes never stray from Drezek's equipment, adornments, and clothing, studying him, weighing him, evaluating him. His eyes finally seem to find what he's looking for, and he reaches into the sleeves of his shirt and withdraws a small rolled scroll tied with a red ribbon. He smiles softly, a smile that doesn't reach his eyes, and tucks the rolled scroll into a pocket on Drezek's clothing. You will be given plenty of opportunities to show your generosity, my friend. It is, you can read it at your leisure. Please, not now. There will be a moment for that. Again, as I say, it is a pleasure to see you again. And then he turns, his black cloak billowing out behind him, his hands folded neatly in front of him in what almost appears to be like a pedantic, scholarly fashion. "Lady Coliana," and this is the first time since the beginning that he's addressed her, "I trust you have properly introduced our new guests to my domain. Friends, I do apologize for any folk tales my subjects have shared with you about me." Irina doesn't say anything. She stands, and in fact, she actually kind of hovers a little closer to Cora. Cora, you're going to feel her presence very closely to you. She's terrified at this moment. Um, as you cast it, Strahd's eyes sort of flash over to you, and there's a soft kind of smirk that sort of passes across his expression, but he doesn't say anything. "I trust you all have been made welcome. You have been provided food, water, lodgings." Yes, Ismark. The village is such a charming hamlet, isn't it? You availed yourself of its hospitality, had yourself a drink from the blood of the vine. It is such a pleasure, isn't it? It is the actual jewel of Barovia, I think. Something that my people have long enjoyed. And how are you finding your travels here? Tell me something of this land that pleases you. And Strahd very quietly listens to you, and he dips his head forward, um, clearly preparing how he wants to respond. Perhaps you don't mean to speak so disrespectfully, but it is, of course, my obligation to remind you that disrespect is unbecoming, especially in the face of the Lord of this land that you are but a guest in. And then he pauses, his head sort of cocking off to the side. But you are foreign and untaught, perhaps confused. I will give you a warning this time, but I fear my mercy will not last forever. He smiles politely and holds up a single finger, saying, "One." Large shapes emerge from the mist surrounding the crossroads. 6 of them, almost the size of a horse, staring obediently at the Count, their maws closed, before they slowly train their amber eyes on Mesker. Now, I do believe I asked you all a question. Tell me, was there something of this land that you enjoyed? Hmm. Yes, the architecture there is quite astounding, isn't it? Generally speaking, it is the Lord that dismisses those who entreat upon him, and I am not quite done with you. You are guests in my land, which means you are subject to my control. I have heard this question before. Barovia is an unusual place, and I won't say that it is impossible to leave, but it is something that maybe you would have great difficulty in achieving. Um, it is something maybe we can discuss. And as he says that, his eyes sort of settle on Drez, and his eyes flash down to Drez's pocket where he had placed that scroll. I do. Hmm. Make no mistake, this is my land, and it works in much a fashion that I deem seem fitting. You are here in Barovia, and I don't believe that you are ready to leave quite yet. Um, any other questions about that particular matter? I do so enjoy the exchange of these ideas and questions. I find that we grow and we learn when we speak to and ask from others their mind, even if they are at odds with one another. And his eyes kind of glance over to Mesker. Wouldn't you agree? You have come to this land and have already made, how shall we say, an unpleasant impact on its people. As their liege lord, I would be remiss if I did not seek to understand and maybe pass judgment if necessary. And you get the unusual feeling that um, the air has changed. The feeling, the vibe of this encounter has changed, and almost as if proceedings have been somehow instituted, and Strahd, now standing before you in a comfortable, casual pose, sits in judgment. Tell me, and I'm just interested to know what you think about this. Ismark Kolyanovich defied me by keeping his sister from me. Why should I, as his lord, not punish him for his disloyalty? Semantics. Are you going to answer my question? And he kind of stands there and is listening to you very quietly. His arms now folded across his chest, and one single clawed finger at his chin as he kind of contemplates your words. There's a curve of a smile at the corner of his lips. I have claimed Irina Koliana. I've twice marked her as my own. Why should I not take her with me to Castle Ravenloft right now? Taps his finger on his chin, looking at you, Cora, but then looking to the others as well. I will permit to allow Lady Coliana to depart the River Evelys crossroads in safety. I will not offer any further promises in this regard. She will know in time what is best for her. And I will agree to overlook the young Kolyanovitch's transgressions. As you probably are well aware, Barovia has already been taught a valuable lesson. This is, of course, contingent on him not defying me or acting counter to my will again. Now, you are trespassers of sort in my land, and you might think you're prisoners, but you are here, regardless, and you're not from here. The last outsider that entered Barovia fostered sedition and treachery. Why should I not dispatch you now, just as I disposed of him? Holds up his hand, and he goes, two. Hmm. I cannot control how those come to this land. And he turns to um, Elanil, sort of giving her a nod to acknowledge her polite offering on how she phrased that question. But you are here regardless, and you must understand the last person who came here, as I said, fomented rebellion against my domain. And so I ask, what assurances can I rely upon that I should not dispatch you right now as I disposed of him? How will I know that you will not act against me while you are here in Barovia? Hmm, you have much to learn about this place. I will refrain from further judgment against you and your kin unless you take action counter to my will. Know that we have discussed this, and for the time being you have benefited from my grace. I have but one last question. Immediately prior to your entry to my lands, you caused great damage to a group of my servants, the occupants of a particular house on the borders of my domain. I had relied upon these servants to bring me specimens of interest, but your activities have left them indefinitely indisposed. Why should I not punish you for your crimes against them? He's tapping his foot quietly as he considers your words. Your actions in the Durst Manor were inconvenient, but I must confess, entertaining for me to learn about. I will forgive your transgressions. We shall speak of it no more. This has been a pleasant conversation. It has been educational. Enjoy your stay in my lands, and do mind your step. My people are just that, mine. I will preserve them in this place, as is my birthright and responsibility. And as he says that, his eyes locking on each of yours, these wolves that have emerged on the corner, or sorry, on the edge of the Svalish woods. Um, these are large as horses, just as a reminder. They're massive. And Mesker, you recognize them. You know what they are. They flank the carriage, three to a side, almost assuming a marching order. My friends and I shall see you soon, perhaps very soon. Do look for my invitation. Good day to you. And with that, the Count, Strahd van Zarovich, climbs the steps back into the elegant black carriage, as the manservant holding the door stares at you mutely. After a moment, that manservant secures the door, climbs aboard, and with a quiet word urges the two horses forward to the southwest, back towards the crossroads, or rather towards the path leading to Castle Ravenloft. You're kind of still at the crossroads. She's full on dissociating. I re- reading it out loud, or are you reading it to yourself? Okay. Second. Okay, which one are the flies? Uh, insect flybys. Got it. It was neat because the Canaan group, my mother was like, he says, "Is there anything I can do to make yourself more comfortable?" And my mom was like, "Get rid of these fucking flies." And then he waves his hand, and the flies just disappeared. It was a pretty cool moment. Potentially, yeah. Did you get that, Drez? Give me a sleight of hand check. I'm gonna say it's gonna be on your passive perception, and that is successful. Are you guys all walking towards the Serpool pool then along the path? Yeah, your horse would be back. There's a there is a sack of apples tied to its saddlebag that you don't recognize. Yeah. Give me a roll. Yeah, go ahead and do that. Do that with your. Do you have expertise? Like you have double? Yeah, give me a roll. So eight. An eight. I mean, they do seem like they're perfectly fine apples. They are green. They're not red. They look like a variety that would have more of a sour taste. They're not super sweet, but they look like they look perfectly fine. So as you guys are discussing this, you hear a creaking noise behind you coming from the direction of the gallows that are still in sight, where there was nothing before. Hanging from that frayed rope, you now see a lifeless gray body. The breeze turns the hanged figure slowly so that it can fix its dead eyes upon you. Mesker, you notice, and I say you notice, the body hanging from the rope resembles in appearance and likeness that of yourself, down to the clothing you're wearing, your beard, and your features. The others just see a body, an unrecognizable body. It looks like a real body. It smells like a real body. Are you touching it? As soon as you poke it, as soon as you poke it, it rapidly melts away into nothingness. So you guys are on the road now? Irina is just kind of following silently. She's slowly beginning to collect herself, but still has a very pale complexion, not really offering too much in the way of her thoughts on the matter. As you head toward Sayre Pool, the atmosphere is thick with an eerie stillness, perhaps escalated from your recent encounter with the Count. Your footsteps echo through the desolate road, creating an unsettling symphony of sound. Just as the oppressive silence begins to settle, a sharp cry shatters the stillness. The distressing cawing of a bird resonates from above, capturing your attention and heightening your concern. Out of the ominous skies descends a flash of midnight feathers, crashing onto the road at your feet. Before you lies a raven with blue-tipped wings, visibly wounded and struggling to regain composure. It gazes at you with desperate eyes, conveying a sense of urgency. As the wounded raven lies before you, a terrible, grating shriek pierces the atmosphere. A haunting silhouette descends from the foggy canopy above, a horrific-looking abomination of what you can only describe as a bird crafted of wood, animal skins, burlap, and hundreds of black raven's feathers. Its wings stretch wide, casting a dark shadow over the desolate road, and its unnaturally piercing eyes fixate on the wounded raven in front of it. As this unfolds, two swarms of smaller, lesser variations of this greater beast begin to descend from above to join their greater version below. And you will all have to roll initiative in just a moment. Let me get the encounter up. Devoted. Oh, really? Good. Can you all roll initiative for me, please? Yes, I just got to pull it up. You are further. You're on the road now. You're kind of on the way to the Sayre Pool. You're not at the crossroads. Approximately, yes. Okay. You guys have a link to Owlbear Rodeo there? I will. Yes, I can. Stand by. This is the big one, and then there's swarms of um, smaller versions of it. Let me get you there. Your rat here in a minute. Your rat would be like right on top of you. There you go. Okay. I need to name these here. This one's going to be B. This one's going to be A. It's got to be B or A. And B is going to swarm over to Cora right away. This is the initiative order. He rolled a 19. And that's a 21 to hit. And that's 10 points of damage. Okay. And it is your turn, Cora. Okay. Where would you like it? Which box around it? Which square? Poof. There it is. Thank you. I had to go loud so that my mic picks it up. That's a hit. Oh, good hit. Yeah, this does a good bit of damage with this mace kind of arcing, swinging through the air through this swarm of these are called strixes. It catches multiple of them and takes out, I'd say probably almost half of the swarm in one arcing swing. You will provoke an attack of opportunity when you do that. Just making sure you're paying attention, DM. Is that your turn? Okay. The greater Strix is landed sort of right here, and it actually hops forward towards the wounded one with the blue tipped feathers, and it attacks with a beak attack, and that's a miss. Um, it is Irina's turn. She's going to attack the big one with a crossbow, and that's a miss. Drez, you're up. Okay, let's see it. That's a hit. It is still alive. Uh, Still alive. That is a miss. Okay, Mesker, you're up. The blue tipped one? Yeah, it's just the size of like a normal raven, so I guess it would be like this big. Okay. Okay. Show me what you got. Damn. Right? It seems like you hit it and it recoils from that blow, but it seems like it might have some kind of resistance to your hit, and it only does 15 points of damage. Yeah, and it's 11. So is it goading on you now? Like it's gonna okay, uh, okay, that's a hit. So that is 7, I think. 13. Yeah, so you do 7 points of damage to it. It has resistance to your melee attacks. Okay, is it your turn? Okay, this swarm over here is going to fly over to Elanil and attack with a beak attack for 11. I'm guessing that's a miss. Yeah, that's a miss. Okay, it is Elanil's turn. Okay, that's a hit. Okay, 10 damage. Yeah, your swing takes out a good almost half of the swarm. That's a hit. Nice. Okay, it's looking pretty rough. You just in one turn have taken out most of the birds in that swarm. And it's this turn here now, the Swarm B, and it's going to be attacking Cora, and that is a 20 for 7 points of damage. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Okay, that's its turn. Cora, you're up. Okay, that's it. That's a hit. How would you like to kill it? Yep. There's just debris of like sticks and wood and burlap, and it smells kind of like charred and a little bit rotten, like mildewy, as the remnants of these birds just kind of fall apart into scraps and bits and pieces. The raven is unconscious. I'm going to say that it's safe. Okay. Is that your turn? Okay. It is the Greater Strix's turn. It will be attacking Mesker. It can make 3 multi-attacks. 13, 12. That's a natural crit. 13 damage. Yeah. Yes. That was a crit too, mind you. Yeah. So it is Irina's turn, and she is going to load what appears to be a silver crossbow bolt into her crossbow, and she's going to be hitting at the Strix. That's a hit for 7 points of damage. Drez, it's your turn. Okay. You did. That's a hit. Okay. Okay. Good hits. You're clawing and cleaving pieces of burlap and kind of mildew off of this abomination in front of you, but it's still standing. That's a miss. It may roll. That is not a hit. Mesker, you're up. That is a hit. That's a 14 and 7 damage. 14, so 7 damage total. Okay, it's looking pretty bad, but it's still standing. That's your turn. Okay, the swarm here, swarm A, is engaged with Elanil. It's going to do another swing on Elanil here. That's a 20. That's 20. He just jinxed it. That's a modified 20. So it does 2d6 plus 1d6 because it's missing half of its hit points for a total of 13 damage. It's your turn, Elanil. That's a hit. Okay, you do 7 points of damage. It is still up. It is Cora's turn. Oh, oh, that's right. That's right. That's a miss. Plus 1d4. It's a 12. That's a hit. That's a hit. That's a hit. How do you want to kill it? Oh yeah, that exactly happens. All right, it is Cora's turn. It's Cora's turn. Okay. Okay. It's a miss. Yes. Okay. So do you have to choose the monster type? Okay. So Mesker, you feel good, man. You feel nice. Is that your turn, Cora? Okay. It's the Greater Strix's turn, and it will be attacking Mesker with its multi attacks, and that's with disadvantage, correct? 12, 7, miss. 8, miss. That was an excellent technique there, Cora. That was really good because there was like 18s and 19s and 17s in there. It's Irina's turn, and she's going to load another silver crossbow bolts and attack the big guy, and that's a hit with 15 for a total of 6 damage. This one actually, the crossbow bolt embeds into the side of the beak, and when it does so, bits of wood and pieces of its beak sort of disintegrate on the one side. This Strix is looking quite damaged. Drez, you're up. I think that's your fifth 19 in like almost a row. You've been rolling a lot of 19s, not quite 20s, but still, yeah, that's a hit. Right? 5, yeah. You're doing crossbow hand damage, by the way. Okay. No, so roll that again. Roll that again for me. We'll keep your great sneak attack roll. 5 and 12, 17. How do you want to kill it? Nice. Yeah, the remnants of this beast, yeah, just basically disintegrates after all this damage, almost as if it was magical in nature and it sustained enough damage with the bits and pieces of it that was keeping it together, just kind of let go, and it kind of collapses onto the forest floor. There's a smell of wet burlap in the air that has almost like a scent of mildew. Um, yeah, combat is finished. Okay. There's two silver crossbow bolts that are um, retrieved or recovered. The raven on the ground is unconscious. It doesn't appear to be awake. As you approach the raven, and this is Mesker and Drez are going to see this, there are dozens of silver barbs piercing its body. Go ahead. Doesn't do anything. You're not able to remove the barbs. If you okay. So as your divine energy kind of seep into the bird, you can see the wounds start to barbs still inside the bird. Those wounds actually reopen again, and there's a brief like flutter of activity, but then the bird falls unconscious again. You get the impression that the barbs need to be removed before the bird um, can be healed. Anyone can do a medicine check if they'd like. That is a failure. That is a failure. You're about halfway. No, I'm gonna say that's a medicine check. Channel divinity just heals. It wouldn't remove a physical object. Yeah. No, I'm not gonna allow that. Nice try. Or is Do you guys want to help Drez with this? Maybe give him some. So I will permit a guidance roll, and I'll also permit a help action to have him roll with advantage. If Cora and Elanil are gonna, yeah, listen, you got this, bud. Medicine with advantage and add a d4. No, it's medicine. It's a failure. Irina is gonna come over and give it a shot. She's tisking at you guys. Are you guys gonna help her as well, like coach her? Okay. Oh my god. Yeah. Does Vinrod want to shut? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So the bird is still unconscious. It still has these silver bards. This is a very challenging task, apparently, for you guys. You could pick the bird up and take it with you. It's stable. Dozens. Think of like a porcupine. Uh, just by just by looking at it, you think there's probably about 20 gold pieces worth of silver in this creature. Um, I see what you're getting at, and I will say yes. It's stable. You could. Go for it. It's so fun to have you guys try that. I just see Marigold with his hooves just pawing at this bird, scoring a natural 20. So you want to use two hit die? Yeah, so hit that. Yeah, and then it should apply it, and then hit take short rest to confirm, and then you're good. You've gotten your short rest, and you're healed up. You have to hit the take short rest button in order to confirm it. Interesting. I just keep an eye on it then. Yep. You should have four. You should have four of those. Yep. That's correct. It didn't save. Yeah, it's a problem for Kanan as well. Yeah, they have issues with doing it. I've never had a problem with it. I've always been able to make it work. So I don't know where the problem is. Well, I don't want to are these chocolate? What is this here? Actually, this is where I will be concluding things tonight. I you guys have caught up officially with the Kanan group. Yeah. I have to say, yeah, I'm a little surprised at that as well.